Started this on Facebook.
All
The Stream
right.
Deck,
We're on Facebook. We live.
we
We
are.
we are live. Welcome in everybody. Your coaching call is now. This is a time for you to get answers for seller financing. Now, you might be interested in real estate, right? But there's a few different methods that are for you and not for you. But seller financing is for you because who likes to use their own money when it comes to buying property? So, first of all, we got Mark here. Mark is the owner of, if you are over on Facebook, hello. Mark is the owner of this group. He has, well, you started this group to sell your own deals, right?
I did. I did. About 3.5 years ago, I started it to post my own deals, and the thing just blew up. And so, yeah, and now it's just commodity. People are doing a lot of deals together, helping each other out. And we get about anywhere between 1,000 to 1,500 people a week joining. At one time, we were at 2,000 people a week joining. And it's a lot of work that, we have to have three people and they're just full time weeding people out. A lot of the scam posts, the fake lenders, you know. So we have a Christian, he starts on Sundays at 3 p.m. until midnight because we got bombarded with fake lenders out of Nigeria just hitting our group hard on Sunday nights.
Yeah,
But it works. And yeah, so it works really well. Buying properties in the group, selling properties and learning.
that's
You know?
awesome. That's awesome. So, if you guys are over on Facebook, let me pull it up. I am pulling it up now. Go ahead and comment where you're tuning in from. Tashin, I'm sending you the link now. I'm putting the link also in the comments, guys, so you guys can join in and listen in and ask questions. This is a call for you guys to get your answers or your questions answered. Sorry, I'm putting this in the group for everybody to join over here on Zoom as well. There we go. Bam. Welcome in. There we go. All right. So, also over on Zoom, let us know where you're tuning in from. This is a chat for you to drop in here, drop in the chat. You'll be able to unmute yourself and ask questions in just a minute. We'll get there in a second. We just want to get all the introductions out of the way. All right, we got Roxanne from upstate New York, Syracuse area. Welcome. Welcome. Alona from South Florida. Awesome. I think, you know what? Mark's from South Florida too. Mark, where you at?
I am Boca Raton. That's where I'm at. I always say Boca Raton, but Boca, yes.
Boca
So
Raton.
yeah, where I wonder where in South Florida. Syracuse is a good area too. Chicago, Delray. All right, Delray's very close. She's probably about 10 minutes from me, if that. Delray's a great market. Delray's been a hot market, by the way. If you ever Matt, if you've never been to Delray, I highly recommend it. We're gonna have to do a get together down here sometime and put an event on.
Let's do it. Yeah, I've never been down
You know,
there, so I've been
you don't
down there.
want to
I
come
just
right
haven't
now.
been to that area.
You don't want to come in the summer. You want to come in the wintertime. The best time is probably right after the holidays. And it's just the weather's just beautiful. Jacksonville, we got another one in Jacksonville, Jersey City. There
Oh
you
yeah.
go.
We got Statham, Georgia over on Facebook. Welcome in, welcome in. Awesome. And hey guys, this is a time for you guys to learn. We got Clearwater, Florida with Tasheen. Awesome. We got a lot of Florida people in here, huh? Less people down south. We got Amy in Chicago. I'm here in Cincinnati, right here next to the tennis open right now, Cincinnati Open. I guess it's over today. Today's the last day.
And I
I'm
think
not.
the women's finals are going on right now. I'm a big tennis. My other half's a big tennis, but you know, now we got the U.S. Open coming up next week, and so then you got your football. Then we have somebody from Georgia as well. So welcome. This is exciting. So, who here knows me? A little bit about me. We got somebody from Texas. Okay. All right. Roxanne, she knows a little bit about me. So, a little bit about me. I've been in the creative seller financing space 30 years. I started in 1995 at the age of 24, 25. I started out. I've done well over 3,000 residential, commercial, residential, into $500 million of real estate transactions. So I've done it all. Um, like teaching people residential because that's how I learned it. And it's one of the best strategies, especially in this market. But it's one of the good strategies, like if you don't have good credit, you're self-employed, you don't want to deal with the headaches of the bank, you may not have a lot of money. You do want to have some money, but you can get into buying some properties with very little to no money down. I can't tell you how many deals I've done with zero down. I like to I have a strategy. I like to buy through seller financing with a low down payment, and I like to sell through seller financing strategy as well and get a larger down payment for my buyer, use his money or their money to buy the property and create the arbitrage. But I make sure I get enough money for my end buyer to have some money in reserves just in case something happens. So, but if you have a great deal and you don't have all that capital, you can easily find capital, especially in the group. You know, in our groups, there's so many different capital partners. But if it's a good deal, capital will come. That's not a problem, but you should have a little bit of capital. So we talk about all the different type of seller financing strategies. The big one out there, everybody knows is, this subject to. That's the big one. That's where it's called subject to the existing mortgage. So if people don't understand what that is you're buying a property, keeping the mortgage in the seller's name, and you're transferring the deed over to you. There's some pros and cons to that, but that's the big buzzword out there. Then you have a sandwich lease option. You have an agreement for deed, land contract, novation. There's so many different strategies within seller financing, but it really all comes down to listening to the seller, and depending on the seller's needs, that will determine on the strategy. The way I look at it is think of a tool belt. So you have all the different tools and the tools for certain jobs that you're trying to accomplish the objective. So depending on what the seller's needs are, that will determine on what strategy to use. For an example, subject to. If a seller's in that financial distress, there's no way I'm going to pitch them a subject to. They're going to look at me like I'm crazy. I'll go into a different type of seller financing strategy and pitch them. I can't tell you how many times people that I've been working with that we go head to head with other investors that are pitching subject to, we end up getting the deal because we're telling them and we're presenting it in a different way. But you still can achieve and accomplish the same thing, get the depreciation, you can still get the write-off. So there's a lot of ways within your agreements of certain strategies that you still can accomplish that. So we have a lot of people on here, Matt, and I can't wait to jump into answering a lot of questions. You're on mute, Maddie. Welcome to my world.
There we go. Now I'm not on mute. I forget that sometimes. So awesome. If you guys have questions, we have a few different rules. We want to make sure that we are keeping on subject. We want to make sure that we are keeping it towards the creative finance side of things. Mark is a specialist in that. So with the 30 years of experience that he has the experience with just about every type of deal. So he's here to help you. We won't analyze a deal completely, but we will be able to help you talk about it. Just we want to make sure we can answer questions for you. We only have an hour, so we can't really go too deep, and we can't really cover the real in-depth stuff, but we can scratch the surface and get things going and help you get an understanding of certain things. So any questions, go ahead and drop them in the chat.
We're starting to get some coming in.
There we go.
I think
Amy
Amy's
says,
got
I
one.
have a property, seller financing, no mortgage. Creative? What do you mean by that, Amy?
How you doing, Amy? You want to jump in? How are you?
Hello. Good. How are you?
Very well, thank you.
I have a property. It's pretty much owned by an investor himself. So he'll seller finance, but it's a horse property. So it's $1.4 million. It's 40 acres. And I was wondering if there was any way to do some creative financing with that.
Sure. And he's willing to do seller financing since there's no mortgage, which is great.
Mhm.
So there's two, whenever I want to know, whenever we're talking about sellers and deals and why is he selling? Do you have an idea why he's selling? That's the number one thing. Then
I do. He bought it for his kids. He's out west, and I guess they would come out this way quite a bit. And his boys would come out and camp and fish and hunt and stuff like that. Well, now they're in college or they're getting married, and they don't come out here anymore. So that's why he's selling it. I mean, he doesn't really need to. So I don't know, if there's any way to
sure.
get him to do some creative financing
Okay. Well, I
if you
mean, if there's no mortgage, I mean, yes, it's created, but it's easier because then you don't have to worry what's called a due on sales clause. I'm not sure if you're familiar with that, but
A
that's
little
a
bit.
nice thing. With institutional lenders, they have it where if the loan gets transferred from the original borrower, they could call the loan due technically. So what are your thoughts with the property? What would you want to do with it? What would be the exit? Are you just, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, actually, I want to keep the property myself because I want to turn it into a well, it's called Hope Reigns, and what it is bringing kids out from the inner city, and um, people with like
Sure.
autistics and stuff like that. They come out, and the horses, really give them
I get
some
it.
yeah. So that's what I want to do. Sorry.
Okay. I totally get it.
A
So from an
retreat. Thank you,
economic,
Tashine.
there you go. So from an economic point of view, how would you generate income or revenue to be able to pay for all the expenses and the property? Do you have an idea?
I I don't really.
Okay.
The only thing
Because
I
that's
can think of is if I could somehow get on the property and maybe not make payments for a year or so, like trying to get it up the business. I already had the business plan and everything, set up, but
so
I just don't know how to
right.
present
So
him
in
with
your
a deal.
Sure. So in the business plan, how are you generating revenue? Let's say you don't pay any mortgage for a year. What about taxes, property tax, insurance, electric? Do you have any idea how you would generate revenue for that?
Um, I have about 50,000 in cash that I could put down. Other than that, it would just be it would be a business loan, I guess, um,
Okay.
that I would have to take out to get it going.
But when you go to the lender, they're going to want to look at how you're going to pay that and how you're going to generate that revenue. So I totally get your model, what you want to do, but is that model going to be sufficient enough to be able to generate revenue to be able to pay the bills? That's what you got to look at.
Yes, yes. Like I said, I already have my business plan, so
Okay. So you can generate revenue from it?
yes.
Okay. All right. And do you have an idea so the children going to come out, who pays for that? Is it the state, the city, is there grants?
It's a nonprofit, so
Okay.
that's how it would be run.
Okay. All right. So how well do you know the seller?
I don't know him at all.
Okay. And how did you come across the deal?
Um, well, this property's been on the market for 3 years, and I've been eyeing it for that long, and I've been trying for 3 years to figure out how to get it.
So what I would do is I would just start getting on the phone and talking to the seller. The reason when you're doing seller financing, the number one reason why they're going to do a deal is because of you. They
Yeah.
need to know you, they need to like you. And I always tell people over and over, whenever it comes to seller financing strategy, the first time you're talking to a seller, think of it as like a marriage. You're in a long-term commitment with each other. Okay. So think of your first time that you went on that date with your significant other. You got to know each other. They got to know you, you got to know them. So that's where you really need to start there is get to know with him and talk to him and see maybe if he's looking for more money, maybe you guys do a partnership agreement. There's a lot of different opportunities there to kind of possibly work together. Maybe do a
Oh, I've
partnership
never,
agreement.
yeah,
What's that?
that's never been brought up. I don't even know how that would work. So I've
Well,
never
you want
crossed
to
my
talk to
mind.
him. Yeah, talk
Yeah.
to him. You
Yeah.
just gotta get on it, start talking. Like I don't know if you started using Chat GTP yet, but start
Hmm.
using that. Like, hey, this is what I'm looking to do. Give me some options. What do you think how I can structure this as a nonprofit? Go down that path. Chat GTP would help you out. I but the number one thing is you just get on the phone, start talking to him, build a rapport with him, have him know you, and you get to know him. That's the reason how you're going to do these type of deals, and then come up with ways in your business model. I don't know if you ran through your numbers to make sure your model is going to work because that's the first thing he's going to want to look at, making sure you're going to be able to pay that property. Okay, and you don't want to just throw 50K away either. So if you got them nonprofit and you're going to generate, and you already know how you're going to get the revenue coming in, have that ready to go. Hey, I got these grants. This is what I'm going to do. Have all this stuff lined up So when you have that conversation, say, hey, I know these grant programs, this is how much money we're going to generate. You have to have dollars behind it, what you're going to kind of to build their get into that. Okay. And then also just build that rapport with them. That's how they're going to end up doing business with you.
Okay. Yeah, I think I need to talk to him too. The problem is that I started talking to him through the realtor, and I found out who owned it, and it's an investment properties management company, and I have his number and his name, but I don't want to make the realtor mad. So do I overstep her, or do I go through her and be
Oh,
like,
just
hey,
get
I
on
want
it,
to
go
talk?
through the, yeah, go through the realtor and let's say, hey, do you mind if we set up a phone call? I'd like to talk
Okay.
to him and see what he's looking to do and see what options. And the reason why is because if he's open to seller financing, it's like a marriage. I don't want a blind
Mhm.
marriage. I want to know a marriage. I want him to feel comfortable and I want to feel comfortable with him. Because a lot of times the realtors are going to like, no, no, no. But say, hey, let's all of us get on a phone call. I want you on a phone call. I want to see if he's
Right.
open to seller finance. They're going to say, oh, I want just to do an offer. Ones that, I would go through the realtor first. If you have struggles there, then try to maybe go through around a little bit. Okay. So,
Okay.
all right. Good luck.
Thank you.
We got a lot of questions. We got more questions here. I see more in here, Matt.
Oh yeah, we got lots. So I have a seller financing deal or a seller that is open to creative financing. There is no pain points that I'm aware of. I explained to him that I won't cash flow if I get a bank financing. They will work with me, but are looking to do well on the deal. I need the cash flow. I have some ideas, but would love to hear how you guys would approach it. I am going to see private money for the most of the deal. PQ, are you there?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yep. Go
What's going on,
ahead.
man?
Hey man, how you doing? I might type that really fast. I'm sorry if I messed it up a little bit, but
Oh, don't
You're
worry about it.
good.
Let's just talk. Give me a rundown if you don't
yeah.
mind.
So essentially, I started a campaign. There's an area in New York State where I'm looking at properties, and wherever I started a campaign, I'm sort of surveying house by house, and I'm just marking up a map till I get through the whole village. But I started sending some letters out. So I sent a letter to this particular person. When I looked them up, they were an LLC. So I wrote a different note on the back of the letter, because he's an investor himself. Blah blah blah. So we eventually he called me. We discussed it, and I found out he had another house that I really like in the village already. So long story short, they're a law firm. This is a side thing for them. I think it's just somewhere to put the money to hedge against inflation. But the guy gets it. We were talking broad stroke. We had a bit of fun. The second phone call, we had some more fun. We talked about the deal a little bit. I'm probably going to get some private money and just structure some sort of seller finance deal. With they're just going to carry the whole note. I think they would be okay with that to offset the taxes long term, or whatever else they had to pay back by offloading the property. They've only had it since 2022. But that's probably what we would work out. Like, he kind of brushed on some other idea where they may want to sell it at a loss for their own tax purposes, but he has to speak to his CPA. And then I'm not sure exactly how that would work, but he said it's sell it at a loss, and then they'll give you a private loan for whatever. And he's going to give me more details on that. But essentially, I'm looking at, like, the income needs to exceed all the expenses and the taxes and the insurance and whatever vacancy and whatever capex I want to start saving for. So, for me, the way I'm looking at it is I may have to amortize it over 40 years or something like that, with a 10 or 15-year balloon. But I'm just looking for some other ideas as to how I'd like to pitch it to in 2 or 3 different ways. That was the first one that came to mind. He sort of mentioned, we need to put at least 20% down, which I'm not interested in doing that. I want to get in light.
Great.
So, it's
Yep.
one of the properties he reckons it's worth around 700 grand. I'm not so sure. I think it's worth a bit less, but I can work that number into the deal. That maybe that's what he gets out of it. And the other one's probably worth somewhere about 950 grand. And it's a very similar situation. I don't like the first one as a one bed, two family, one bed, one bath on both floors. And the other one is a three family, which I really like. It's got a big basement that I may live in myself. But yeah, I'm just looking for some other ideas so I can pitch, like, hey,
Yeah.
You know,
I
that
you
it's
probably I like the idea of where he's willing to sell it at a loss because the tax deduction. That's probably I do like that idea, and then possibly getting some private capital at that. If he's I'm not a big fan of putting 20% down. I could take that and buy two properties with 20%, 10 and one, 10 another, and actually maybe even three properties, quite frankly, just
yeah.
finding other properties out there.
They're
Um,
expensive.
that's
They're expensive up here, but that's the thing. I'm trying to figure out how can I sweeten the pot. So there was nothing serious said. It was a fun conversation. We brushed on it.
sure.
A few things dropped and I took notes. And one of them was, we would be looking probably for around 20% down. I didn't say anything, but I'm not, that's probably not going to work for me.
So why are they selling? Why don't they keep it?
I asked him that, and yeah, I'd reached out to him. It's not on the market or anything like that, and I think he was actually pretty cool. I have no reason to believe that he's just pulling my chains, but I think he would sell it because they're not they're a law firm, and this is
Mhm.
just something he and his buddy does on the side. So I think if he got the right offer and it made sense to him, or he could offset some taxes, or we could set up something whereby it's beneficial to him, but I get what I want to, that they would sell it. You know what I mean? He's pretty much open to anything. He's pretty cool. He didn't seem like he was just dragging me along to see if I was an idiot so he could rip me off. You know what I mean? So
Yeah, well, that's why most people that get hit with taxes, that's one of the main reasons why they love selling through seller financing, because they don't get tax, they can defer the taxes over years instead of all of it at once. That's one of the biggest
that was
reasons.
my
Yep.
thing, because
Sure.
if it's amortized over 40 years, the principal payment's going to be quite low for a while, and he gets to drag it
Mhm.
out. But I need that principal pay down to a 30% equity point to be able to cash him out at some point. So the timeline, I need the time. I'm trying to figure out what else I can give to him to make him happy. But how does that thing work with the somebody else told me at a real estate meetup, but it was towards the end of the night and he and I were drinking. So I didn't take any notes and I was like, I kind of got it at the time. I had 5 or 6 beers in me, so I didn't really take it in well. How does that work?
So what is your question? The 40-year amortization?
No, no, the selling at a loss, and then he said something else, maybe selling it at a loss, and then but I would have to take some sort of loan out with him or something like that at a decent interest rate or
Yeah,
something.
you could do that. I mean, he could sell it at a loss and then he could carry the note as well. He could do both. Um, so he could sell it at a loss so he can get the discount, and then the remaining taxes he could just pay you over time. He should talk to his CPA. I mean, if he's a law firm, I'm sure they already have a CPA that they deal with, but a CPA would really kind of give him some advice on how to offset the tax, and then you step in as the winner on that. But you don't want to put the 20% down. But yeah, instead of getting hit with capital gains all at once, they're paying it over time. And they're generating income. So also another great way of presenting it, and I'm sure this guy knows, is um, provide an amortization schedule. And I don't know if you ever played around with the amortization schedule.
Yeah,
Show
it
him
makes me
what's
sick.
that?
It makes me sick how much interest I have to pay for the first 7 years.
But show the seller, and I do this all the time in my offers. I show them how much money they're going to make over 10 years becoming the bank.
That's it. That's what's in it for him. But maybe I didn't ask the question well enough because he was talking about an entire situation whereby he would sell at a loss, but I would have to take some sort of loan out, and I don't know why I would have to take a loan out or how that works or how they knit together.
I'm not sure who is he, the person that you're having some beers with?
No, 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 no. We had discussed a similar thing, but he was not the seller. So when I was talking with the seller of the house I'm interested in, he was saying I could potentially sell it to you at a loss, but there would also have to be a loan from us to you, and with the combination that would work. And I'm like, okay, I'm
Sure.
interested in.
He's just carrying a note. That's all it is. He's carrying the mortgage note on it for you. That's all the loan is. That's how I'm taking it. Like he's selling the property loss. So say, he instead of, let's say he wants 700, he's going to sell it to you at 600. So he's got the $100,000 loss, and then you're going to pay the difference over based off of the interest. So and I would, talk to him and say, hey, am I understanding that correctly? That what you're saying is you sell at a loss, but then you're going to carry the mortgage note too?
Can I say what I think you're saying? Because I think I understand, but I'm not sure. So
So, all right. So, have you purchased a home before?
yes,
Okay. And on your home now, who you have a lender, right?
Yes.
Okay. He would become your lender.
Oh no, I fully understand that part. And the amortization, it's interest heavy at the beginning. I totally get all that. But if he was to sell at a loss,
Sure.
then what he would just the note would be of a significantly high interest rate that he would make up for that lower purchase.
Possibly you have to understand his thought process, but he's selling the property. Even if he carries a loan or if you go get a loan, he's selling that as a loss. So if he's selling it as $100,000 loss, he gets that tax deduction as $100,000 loss immediately. But then the difference of it, he can make money off of becoming the bank, if you will. The Warren Buffett model. That's how Warren Buffett started out making his money.
Okay, I kind of get it. I think I'm just going to ask him, hey, can you explain it to me? What way you guys
Yeah,
want to
yeah,
structure it?
just have him explain it right into it. But yeah, he's going to sell the property to you as a loss. Then he's going to hold the mortgage note and then make money off the interest. That's what he's going to do. He's going to become in the bank. And then
So
he may sell that
the
note in the secondary market. That's another whole animal. But I'm sorry, go ahead.
yeah, but there's just something. So let's just say they purchased it for 600,000. I just threw a number out there, 700, just so it was round. And he said, actually, that's what we were thinking, right? So if he sold it to me at 500,000, then would his note to me, rather than be for 500,000, his note might be for 700,000. I just don't understand
No,
how it
he's
works.
selling it to you at that price, whatever that price is.
So the note would be for that much, and then I guess he would just play with the
Well,
term.
unless he's doing something under the table that I'm not aware of.
I think I'm just going to ask him to explain it to me.
Yeah,
And
but typically the right way of doing it is whatever you're buying it at, that's your price, that's your buying at, and then he's going to carry and he's going to want you to put that 20% down. That's how I'm taking it.
okay, I'll ask him and see what he says. That's good.
Yeah.
I'll show him the amortization. I'm sure he understands that, but he might not. We didn't talk about that because, yeah, the interest they get.
That's how I'm taking it.
Yeah,
And that's typically how it's done. Unless there's something you guys are doing a deal under the table. So he's trying to get around his taxes and you're buying it at a higher note, you're but typically it's whatever, like if you're buying at 500,000, that's the purchase price you're buying at 500. And then if you put any down payment, then that's the less amount of the finance. And then he usually carries the interest rates. That's how I'm taking it.
all right. I'll ask him how he wants
But
to structure it,
but
and
if but if you're helping him out, then he needs to help you out with a lower down payment.
then okay.
Reciprocity. I'm willing to give you this, but in turn I want this.
That's what I'm trying to create, where I can sweeten the pot for him. But again, the income needs to exceed
Yep.
by a decent amount.
100%. That's the bottom line. Your numbers need to make sense. Otherwise, you guys can talk all the numbers and all this stuff, and if the numbers don't make sense, then they don't make sense.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, it's let's see. I don't know how
Yep.
long he's willing to hold the note before there's a balloon payment, but that's the only way I see it happening. It's got to be the rate's got to be with the term has got to add up to less than what I'm shelling out, and then I have to
I'm not
hold it
necessarily.
long enough to
I'm okay.
press into it.
Yeah, I'm okay. Long as I look at my monthly payments. I'm okay sometimes paying a higher rate. I'm okay with the terms. I
Yeah,
look at myself. I always want cash flow. That's my number one thing. Cool. Let me know how you make out. I'm curious what that was. What are your thoughts on that?
yeah.
Appreciate
I'm
it.
going to ask him to explain it to me. All right, cool. Thank you.
All right. Thanks. Who's next, Matt?
Awesome.
I
Next
like
up,
it.
we got Alona. How do you convince a seller to agree to seller financing?
Okay. I love this one. Is she here, Lona? Where'd she go?
Yes, I'm
Okay.
here. I'm here.
Hey, how are you doing?
I'm good,
All
and
right.
you?
So very well, thank you. Where are you located?
I'm on 441 in Atlantic Avenue.
You're in Delray. Okay, cool. All right. So yeah, when it comes to seller financing, um, it's all about relationship. And it's all about understanding the seller, why they're going to be open to doing seller financing. So when you're talking to a seller, you want to start building a rapport. Just like when you're starting dating somebody, your boyfriend or girlfriend or your significant other, you
Mhm.
want to get to know each other. You want to get to know them and you want them to get to know you. They're interviewing you to make sure you're going to do what they're saying, and you're interviewing them to make sure they're not a crazy seller. Because I've had crazy sellers. So it's all about relationship building. Okay. And
Okay.
then you want to ask them about the property. Like, tell me a little bit about the property, and start just when you ask them about the property, that's a way of starting the conversation. How are the neighbors? And if they talk highly about the neighbors and they start getting into detail, then you know they're a heart person. So you kind of can really, when they start talking about where the Christmas tree is placed in the home and the holidays, then you know the heart person. If they don't, and they're kind of go over it, then you know they're a head person and they're only going to be about numbers. So that kind of gives you a detail of how to have that conversation with people. Okay. And then I love this question. And like I was talking to Amy earlier, there's two things I always want to know. Why are they selling and what are they planning on doing with the capital? Because if you know that, that's how you can be creative enough to get in there. So it sounds like a beautiful home. Why would you want to sell? It sounds like a beautiful home. Why would you want to sell? So then that's giving you the motivation and you have an understanding. They're selling because they're relocating, whatever it may be. And then I love this question and I keep it simple. Would you be willing to rent the property to me for a few years and then we close on it and I'll take care of the maintenance and repairs? I like that because it simplifies, you don't overcomplicate it. And if they say yes, then I know they're going to be open to some type of creative seller financing terms.
Mhm.
You know, rent to own, sandwich lease option, subject to whatever it may be. But I like that question because it keeps it simple. And then if they say no later on, I'm like, well, if you can't sell the property, what are you going to do? And just shut up. If you can't sell the property, what are you going to do?
So
That will tell
basically,
me.
you should go in always directly through the seller, not through the realtor.
That's where you're going to get your best deals. Realtors, it's hard to kind of convey. Like if you have a good relationship with a realtor and they understand and they can go out there and find deals for you, absolutely. I mean, I love working with realtors. I did 18 deals with one realtor 1 year, but the realtor knows me and knows my strategy, knows what I'm looking for, and
Mhm.
knows how to have that conversation with the seller's realtor.
Okay.
So I have realtors become my bird dogs, if you will. But you want to build a relationship with realtors just like the seller, because you can call, and I can't tell you how many times I call a realtor about a property and we start talking and they understand my strategy. We end up doing a whole different deal on a whole different property because they go out there and find a property that will work for me. You know, tell them look for properties that have been sitting on the market where a long time where the listing's about to expire. Hey, I got a buyer. You know, there might be their motivation, but I like going directly to sellers. That's where I get my very low to no money down, and I don't, and there's no realtor fees in there. But it makes it easier. But yes, you can do realtor. You just negotiate a really low down payment with your seller. Make sure that in the real, and then use your buyer. And I go out and find my buyer's money to get that property. That's how I like to do my strategies
Have you
on
ever
that.
had a luck with approaching people who are not selling, so nothing in the market, and you just did approach them just because you like the area or the house, and they were willing to do seller financing? You did?
Sure.
Okay.
Um, I do more of I look more for the motivation. Those are a little bit, you know, they're you can do it, they're a little bit harder. I like to find people that, you know, tired landlords, people that are non-owner occupied that have owned a home for 15 plus years and they like that passive income and they don't want to get hit with capital gains. I
Mm.
love those type of people because they will leave meat on the bone. If it's an investor that's owned it for 5 years or less, oftentimes there's no meat left on the bone and it's hard to make that deal work because there's nothing there left over for the next investor. But if it's an investor that's been a long time, but yes, you can do door knocking. I like for sale by owner signs in front of people's homes. I built up bird dogs. I have over 600 bird dogs. Like for example, trashmen. They know the neighborhood, what homes are sitting empty. Landscapers, snowplow removers, Uber drivers, pest control, pool people. I like that type of strategy. Just keep building up bird dogs. My home run deals come from hospice nurses. I,
Mhm.
I I love those guys and their referrals. They call me up. Um, the other guys, what they do is they send a text message to a phone number, we take it, and then we skip trace and track the seller down. So those guys, I'll pay like $500 to $700 a closed deal. The
Mhm.
hospice nurses, I'll pay roughly about $2,000 a closed deal because it's a more of a referral.
Sure.
But you know, the questions are, why are they selling and what are they planning on doing with the capital? Because if you understand that, that's how you can get the really creative deals. Um, we had one guy that wanted $30,000 down and we got on the phone. I built a rapport with him. I was on the phone with him for 30 minutes. Out of the 30,000, I found out that he needed $25,000 for a camper and he wanted some spending money. And then I found out he had 12 other offers, and everybody was offering a lower down payment. And I found out building rapport, he's got good credit, is with a credit union. I end up giving him an offer. I said, I'll give you $3,500 down. You go take a loan out for the camper for $25,000 for your credit union. And what I'll do is on the 20th of every month, we'll automatically have the payment pulled out of our account, make the payment to your credit union on your behalf. And then what we do is in the portal, we'll create a Gmail. So every time there's a notice or payment goes out, it goes to the seller and it goes to my bookkeeper. We got that deal for $3,500 down, and we're cash flowing $475 a month. And we went and sold it to a lease option buyer. That buyer put $18,000 down. So out of $18,000, we had to give the seller $3,500 after closing costs. We put a little close to $10,000 into our pocket on the front end, and we're cash flowing $475 a month on that deal because I listened to the seller, found out, and I built a rapport with him. Where all these other investors, he had 12 other investors give him offers, and they're just doing it. But because he knew me and we built a rapport with each other, and I understood and listened to him, we got that deal, and that's how we got that type of creative deal. That's just one of many type of examples. Did I help you?
Yes, it did. It did. I'm very introvert, so it's harder for me to build, go networking and build the relationships just because the way I am. But
yeah, just do it on the phone. I get it. Just make calls on the phone. It's easier, behind the on the phone. What I recommend also is call up a girlfriend and talk to your girlfriend for about 15 minutes beforehand, warm yourself up before you start making some calls.
That's a good idea. Yeah.
And then also you can also call outside the area where you don't care and practice. So if you screw up, who cares? I always tell people when you're first starting to call sellers, find your buy box, use your filters of what you're looking for, and how many bedrooms, bath, what kind of home. For sale by owner, call an area outside your market and pitch those people. Talk to good 20 sellers, and you'll have that confidence, and you feel a lot more comfortable.
Okay, thank you
Practice.
so much. I appreciate
Awesome.
that.
Okay.
Thank you.
you so much. Real quick, before we hop to the next question, I just want to throw this out there. Mark has a lot of experience, and so he has started a program to help you get the experience that he has. We like to go over and skip the part of struggling. We like to skip that part. Personally, I like to go out and buy other people's time to make sure I can be successful in the space that I'm going into. And Mark has that experience. You aren't buying his time. You'll be joining a group of people that is in a program that is looking to make others better, and also learn from Mark and learn his strategies and so on and so forth. So I am going to post the link here. It's just a place where you can schedule a call to see if the program's a good fit for you. If not, it's okay. There is no sales on this at all. It's just a thing for us to ask you a few questions to see if you're a good fit for the program. And then that's it. That's all I got. I put the link there.
Yeah, I want to say something on that. So like there's people in the group like that's introvert. So people partner up with each other. Some people love being on the phone and start talking to sellers, while other people are doing all the due diligence, running and sending LOIs out. So there's so you might want to find somebody like at your same level and kind of work together with. So that also is a big thing. And that's usually what happens. Like right now, you're taking initiative and you're being here and you're learning and you're taking that. So that's one of the biggest things. So, if you're struggling in that area, partner with somebody. For years, like myself, I had a severe case of ADHD and dyslexia. So before the internet became popular, I had a business partner that was really strong where I was weak. So in business, if you weak at something and you can't overcome it, find a partner that can offset your weakness and you guys can kind of grow together. So that's something to keep in mind. Okay. Sorry about that, Matt. Let's talk about the next question.
No, you're good. Can you subdivide a property? Example, a seller has a duplex that I would like to sell each unit individually to retail buyers.
Absolutely. All day long. I've done stuff like that. I've done multifamily, 4 units, and convert them into condos. You just got to check with your local town and zoning. And I like those. And we were talking about earlier, I did a land development deal in the Carolinas about 6 years ago, where I don't remember how many acres, but the seller wanted 1.5 million for that piece of property. And what we did is we ended up partnering up with the seller. The seller ended up getting 3.1 million instead. There was no mortgage. It was on public water and sewer. And then we took a loan out against the property for the entitlement, and we would build 5 homes at a time. And it was a great situation. I brought a builder slash developer, and we ended up putting 49 homes in there. So yes, you can definitely do that. And then a lot of people are doing that in land. They'll buy land, subdivide it, and then turn around and sell the land off through a seller financing strategy. That's another way of making money. So there's a lot of different ways of making money in seller financing strategy. You just got to find your niche, what works best for you to be able to do it. Like I said, I love buying through a seller financing strategy, really low down payment, and then sell through seller financing and create that arbitrage and create notes. And then once you understand how to do that, you can sell those notes off into the secondary market. That's another whole type of animal once you start understanding these things. Okay.
For sure. Awesome. And guys, this is a
Oh.
time for you to ask questions. Feel free, go ahead and drop it in the chat or unmute yourself. This is a time for you to get some one-on-one support here with Mark. We got one over here. What is one way you can go out and find deals?
Talked about the bird dog situation. That's one way. I love bird dogs. I built over 600 bird dogs. I'm probably close to 700 now. But I just easily, like as I talked about, trashmen, landscapers, snowplow removals, um, uh, cleaning people, pool cleaning people and house cleaning people, the pool guy, pest control, um, hot tub. Somebody just got one hot tub. One of the members in the program just got a hot tub company that goes out and sells hot tubs. So they're driving. Think of people driving neighborhood. I used to get a lot of business from mailmen, but something must have happened in the last 5 years. I haven't really get it. Something must have happened internally on that, where they stopped doing that. But UPS drivers, FedEx drivers, Amazon, just the list goes on. Just kind of use your type of imagination. I also got a lot of deals from somebody. I don't know if he worked for Medicaid or Medicare, but what he used to do is he used to drive seniors to doctors' offices and pharmacies. We did 14 deals in 1 year. That was another great resource because he was in the car driving people, talking, getting to know them. And for whatever reason, they may have to sell, downsize. They might have lost a spouse. There's some stories there, but I don't want to get into them because they're sad stories. In certain situations where the family calls me up, talked about hospice nurses. Um, love Facebook groups. I love Facebook groups, not real estate related, but like garage sales and those type of things. Looking for property needs TLC, Facebook Marketplace. I like rental leasing agents because a lot of times people were trying to sell their property and they had to switch it over to renting. And I like those. Those are great leads because they wanted to sell and they won't. And so typically they're open to a creative seller financing strategy. But that's kind of, and the leasing agents are used to making 1 month's rent versus getting the 3 or 6% type of situation. And I also, believe it or not, I like bandit signs. Bandit signs always do well for me. If I put 100 up, I usually get 1 or 2 deals. Just be careful of the municipality in the area. Do your little research. Because sometimes some areas they may have a fine, they could fine you. So just be cautious of that. Okay. Cool. I like these. These are great questions.
Awesome. All right, and guys, feel free to drop them if you have any questions. I don't have any more questions over here. That was the
Are we
last
all caught
one.
up?
All caught up.
Wow, that's great. I like that. I thought we are going to be going through quite a few of them, so that's awesome. Um, let's go back to, is it PQ? Did that answer your question on that a little bit? Do you think you have a little bit of better understanding? Because I'm just curious. I think the best bet is just really just get in there and just start talking to him and finding out really what he's trying to accomplish. I'm curious.
Yeah, that's the thing, because I think he kind of shut up quick about it, and I was like, I wasn't sure if he didn't fully understand it himself, or if he kind of had regretted saying it. But it was like,
Was it something kind of in the gray area, you feel?
No, it's because like I was talking about this other guy. He's a wholesaler that I know, and he was
Okay.
talking about that. But there was other people there. We were having a lot of fun. I didn't really take it in. It's the only other person not my seller. That's the only other person, the only other time I ever even heard of it. So I'm just going to ask him, I'm going to put something together. I was hoping to try and come up with two different strategies so that they would look very different, but simple enough. He gets it. He understands the stuff because we talked about it. So at least he understands it. And I'll figure something out. I'll put it together. I'd like to make 2 or 3 offers. You know what I mean? And I'd like them to look quite different. So I'm just going to ask him, can you explain to me what you said? Sounds interesting, but and let him explain
Sure.
it to me the way he had it in his head. Because he was like, let me talk to my business partner. He's on vacation. So I just let it go, because there's going to be another call. We're going to talk again.
Yeah.
So ball is
That's
in
cool.
my court.
So I got a little confused. I thought you said it was the seller that was bringing that conversation up, not the wholesaler.
Oh, sure. If I've created, so I discussed that strategy with 2 people. Once with a friend of mine who's a wholesaler at a meetup, and again, my seller brought it up a couple of days ago when we were on the phone. But he didn't finish it. He didn't elaborate, and he kind of said, "You know what? Leave that with me," and we just moved on. So my seller did talk about that.
Okay. Yeah, I would just say, hey, I'm really intrigued by what you're talking about. That can we talk a little bit more about that? That's what I would go into it,
Yeah,
you know?
yeah, that's it. Because once I understand it, then I'm not going to buy it. I'm not going to buy a bad situation. Like if I don't understand it, I'm not going to sign off on it. So I might learn something.
Okay. Nice. Oh,
Yeah,
I like it. Just keep at it. Cool. I like it. Just
yeah.
what else? How long you been in the business?
I've been messing around with it for quite a while, but I kind of set it down for a while. There was pandemics and babies and divorces and different things going on. So I one divorce. But so it's just been a bit of an odd few years. So I have one, but I'm sitting in it right now. I'm house hacking this one.
That's
So
awesome. Congratulations. That's good.
yeah, no, this one's doing great. So I started a campaign in Jersey City and another campaign in New York, and I'm just walking my little strike zones, and I'm just taking notes and finding out when nobody else knows about the properties. So
That's the best way of doing it. You got to come up with a niche. You always want to do something different than what everybody else, the gurus are telling you out there, if you will. They're all talking about
yeah,
do this, do that. Whatever they're doing, you want to go a different
yeah.
path of where everybody else is not, where it's all quiet.
So I got a map. There's 2 areas, Jersey City, it's 13 blocks by 2.5 blocks. And I'm walking every single block. How many electrical meters, how many doorbells, how many mailboxes can I get into the basement through the front, is there a parking lot next door? I'll look around through the fence and I'm like, oh, look at that. I discovered 2 really cool ones last week doing that. I was like, I'm not going to, crawl under, somebody's back garden gate, but I'm trying to figure out what nobody else knows. And then I'll go after the ones that look interesting.
Yeah. Actually, I was in New Jersey 2 weeks ago, not this past Sunday, the Sunday before. I'm shocked in what they've done downtown area. Like I was staying at so what happened was I was in Newark. I was flying out of Newark to Cape Town, and we ended up having a emergency landing. We had to turn around. Part of our wing blew off. So that was an interesting experience. So the pilot was cool, kept us calm, like no big deal. He's like, we're going to come in faster. We had to go over the ocean, drop 15 hours worth of fuel. And then we came in real fast. And then we get to the end of the runway and there's 30 fire trucks sitting there waiting for us. So we're like, what? Yeah. So they end up putting us up in hotel down in Jersey City. And I don't remember where. It was like right across the street was a waterfront. There's a little mall to the left of it, good coffee. But I was shocked of how much they've done in that waterfront area, how beautiful they're doing down in that area.
Yeah, it's really when I moved to the States first, my first girlfriend that I ever had was in downtown Jersey City, and I have a colleague, so I was familiar with it, but it was like a lot has changed since then, 20 something years ago. But one of my colleagues had to sell a house over here downtown Brownstone, and I looked at her and I said, "What?" And she was like, it's like worth." She sold it for like 430 or something about 12 years ago. It's worth 1.3 now.
Wow.
And that's not renovated. And I'm like, so I'm on the west side of Jersey City, which I chose the area carefully. It's in the path of progress, and well, it's expensive, for stuff around here, but it's changing quickly. Jersey City was bad. Newark is changing a lot too. New York was like one of the worst areas in the whole country about 25 years ago.
Still
So
kind of near the airport. There's some still, we end up staying in Elizabeth area a little bit, so it's still a little
yeah,
good food, good restaurants over there. But so,
yeah. Next
anyways,
time
I
your
see it.
plane, the wing falls off your plane, call me and I'll bring you out for something to eat.
Yeah, I like that. That was kind of bizarre, but anyways, I didn't make it to Cape Town this time. The last couple of years I spent a month and a half there. I love it. The only problem is like this call right now I do on Mondays would have been at 1:30 in the morning, 1:30 to 2:30 in the morning. But usually I'll start working at 4 o'clock in the afternoon for a few hours. I don't mind it, and then I have the whole daytime. But anyways, we have another question, Matt. There,
Yes.
I think. Go
Can
ahead.
you go through the process of to buy a mobile home park using seller financing?
I mean, once you understand seller financing, you replicate it no matter what it is. I teach people residential because it's easier, but once you understand it, you can take it to commercial, land, small businesses. I've actually helped these two brothers buy a plumbing business in the St. Louis area. So once you understand the different concepts and processes, it's the exact same thing. Doesn't matter if it's a $50,000 home or a $5 million mobile home park. It's the exact same concept and same process. You just want to reach out to sellers, find out why they're selling, build a good relationship with them, build a rapport with them, run your numbers, make sure that, like what PQ was saying, you want to run your numbers, make sure whatever the expenses is, and do your due diligence and make sure like the park, a lot of times parks are so old, they have some underlying hiding issues, like if there's an old septic system, be careful of that. It's just you want to do a lot of due diligence on that type of stuff. So, um, anyways, okay. So just treat it just like anything else, just a regular seller financing. I don't know how much you know about seller financing, but just go through the same process. Really talk to sellers, find out where they're selling, build a rapport, and do your due diligence on it. Run your numbers, and then do an inspection and make sure you do a really good inspection. And then usually you want to do what's called a value add. You want to kind of anticipate how much money you want to put into the property and then kind of anticipate that, like how you want to do that. If you're gonna bring capital partners in, or maybe negotiate and have the seller to carry some of that. So there's a lot of different ways of going through it. It's a lot of moving parts, but it definitely can be done. Okay.
Awesome. We try to keep everything more towards the real estate side of things. So when it comes to businesses, you can do seller financing, but Mark, if you want to cover that, it's up to you.
Yeah, I would just Google it. There's business
ChatGPT.
brokers out there. That's what I would do. Google it, and then you can do creative stuff. I've done creative stuff with sellers and then did an SBA loan to kind of take a property down. That's something easy to do. Actually, I've done a mobile home park with having the SBA in first position before as well. So there's different ways of going about it. But this topic is really talking about seller financing strategies, because typically a lot of people, they go traditionally. I work with a lot of people that already have like 3 to 6 properties, and they're putting 25-30% down, and they're tapped out all the capital, all their assets now are in equity or the market. So they want to learn seller financing strategies. And that's typically most of the people come in, they're building their portfolio. They start out getting a lot of doors on the residential. And once they've been in that game for a good about 5 years to 8, 10 years, then they kind of move into the commercial arena. So they kind of make sure you learn everything on the residential, because it's easier when there's mistakes. It's easier to learn from those mistakes on residential, to fix them so they don't destroy you financially, versus jumping straight into some of the bigger deals. And if you screw up a bigger deal, it could hurt a lot more financially, and it could take you a long time to recover. So that's why I always recommend people start out with residential, learn that process, learn the risks factors, because you're going to have mistakes. So, and keep in mind, when you do have a mistake and when you do fail, don't quit. That's where a lot of people quit. They come into it, they start out, and they fail at one thing and they stop, and they don't, and they just drop it. And I'm not going back into it. So you got to look at failure. If you're not failing, you're not learning. So that's why I always recommend start it on residential. So if you do fail, you're failing on the smaller stuff instead of the bigger stuff, so it doesn't hurt you so bad. Okay. Like this, we got a couple more minutes, so let's ask a few more questions. If anybody's got any more questions, I know there's
Yes.
some more questions out there.
Again, real quick, I'm going to remind everybody, if you want to find out more about Mark's program, just schedule a call. I put the link back here again. It's a quick 15-minute call that you can hop on, and we are there to help you, and we want to help you succeed. So go ahead and schedule that call. Then you'll hop on a call with me, and we'll talk about how we can help you in multiple different ways. So,
I
Mark.
like it.
All right. Yeah, questions. Big
I like it.
couple more.
I like Amy's got a good one there too. That one. I'm intrigued. Amy, keep me posted how you make out talking to the seller on that one. That's just keep me posted on that. Okay.
Yeah, I will.
Okay.
Like I
I
said,
see,
it's been 3 years, so
well, he's been sitting on it for 3 years.
yep,
He's motivated. You got to talk to him and build a rapport with him. That's how
I
you're going to
will.
get the deal.
I
Got to
will.
get, you
Thank
want to
you.
know him. You want to know his dog. You want to know the color of his dog. You want to know his dog's eyes, his cat's eyes. You want to know everything about him, and you want him to know you as well. Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. I see, PQ, you had a question there?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yep, go ahead.
I don't want to ask too many questions, just so in case anyone else
No,
wants to.
ask. I mean, this is what it's here. People, when you're asking questions, other people are listening and learning from it. So don't worry about it.
Yeah, no problem. So my plan to do with I'm hoping to take the two of them off them if I can make the work, right? It has to work. It ain't getting rich, it ain't getting monster cash flow most of the time around here because the buy price is too high versus the rent, so and the financing rates and stuff. But I'm gonna bring in private money to do this, which is fine. I'm working with a few people that I know that they're interested in getting involved, but I'm not pushing too hard. It's gonna happen. But I want to treat them like somebody I don't know, or like I would like to be treated if I was lending somebody money. And I haven't actually borrowed private money for a house before. What I was considering doing, because there's not going to be much meat on the bone in terms of I'm not buying this house below market value in this area, upstate New York. You just not nobody has to set it below market. So, and there's no pain point with this guy. So what I was going to do was secure the note with this house. There's about I think 350 or 450K equity in this house. So the object of the game is, but I do want to pull a HELOC on this at some point in the future. So essentially, what I'm trying to do is I would like to secure the debt with the equity in this house with some sort of that clause or whatever that when there's enough equity in the subject house between the two of them, then the lien will be removed from here. I'm just trying to figure out where to start. I'll get a lawyer to draw that up.
100%. Yep. Cross collateralize. That's really what it is. You can put it like you can kind of probably put the lien on both properties, and then as the equity, this one will drop off. That's cross collateralized, but definitely an attorney will be able to help you with that all day long.
Yeah, it's not. I'm sure it's not that complicated. I just haven't done it
No,
before.
it's not at all. People do it all the time.
Yeah, I just want to make sure
we
that
call it
these are-
cross collateralizing. So you could put it on one place, one property, and then or put it on both properties, and with a certain equity, the clause, this one automatically goes and disappears. So have an attorney absolutely do that for you.
Yeah.
But you're in a great area where you can raise capital. I mean, New York City area, you're not too far. It's one of the best places to raise capital. I always tell people, go to conventions. What do you do for work? What was your 9 to 5 job?
I'm in construction management.
Okay.
So
Yep. So have you ever been to any conferences before for work related?
no, not really. I mean, I rub shoulders and elbows with a lot of the upper management and the building owners. I'm sorry, the company owners though. So it's I go to real estate meetups and stuff all the time. There's always people there talking about providing capital.
So have you been to a big one where did you have to go to a place and spend a night there or something, or hang out later or something?
No, I go to anything I can get to, like anything within 40 or 50 miles of here, and there's a decent amount of them around here because there's a lot of property in Jersey.
Now, are you in where are you upstate or are you in New York City?
I live in Jersey City, which is it's right
Got it.
next.
Yep,
to
I know where it is. Okay, yeah, because you said upstate, so it threw me off a little bit for a second. But yeah, so Have you been to a conference that it was a big one where a lot of people came in out of town and spent the night and stuff? Have you ever been to one of those?
No, no.
Okay, because there are some in New York City. You know, that's where some good ones are. But anyways, I like to go to conferences, and whoever's ever been to a conference, where do you when you go to these conferences, are they at hotels or where are they usually located at? The ones that you've been to.
Me, they're sometimes they're in an event center, sometimes they're in a restaurant, you know, sometimes they're in the wholesaler's office. They're all different, but they're not big ones, they're smallish ones.
Okay.
No, I was trying to find local ones so I could meet other people in the industry locally. That was kind of my reason for attending these things.
Okay.
But
Yep.
I could go.
Yeah.
There's some big ones on occasionally. I just
Sure.
I don't know.
So like I like to go to conferences that are not real estate related but wealthy. So let me give you an example. I live in Boca Raton, Florida, South Florida, and a few years back there was a cardiac physician convention in Miami at the Ritz-Carlton. So I can't get into that convention because I'm not a cardiac physician. But guess where do you think they all hang out and network?
I don't know, in the bar.
Exactly. The lobby bar area. Yep. So I sat there and started networking and started talking to people and hey, you know, what do you do? I'm like, oh, I'm in real estate. I love to get into real estate. I just don't have the time. Ding, ding, ding. While I work with people such as yourself, I ended up raising $475,000 at that conference. So keep
There's a
that in
ton of
mind.
those
So go to
things
those
around
type of
there.
conferences. What's that?
There's conferences all over the place around there.
So I'm saying where you are, there's a ton of money right there. Usually it's just tell them I don't pitch deals because you got to be careful. You just talk about in general what you do, and I work with people such as yourself because there is a solicitation, you know, SEC's rules and stuff like that. So don't get into start pitching deals and give this. But hey, I work with people such as yourself. They kind of get this type of a return, blah blah blah. You know, if you're, you know, and just start building rapport and set up a call for next time. Okay,
Yeah,
cool,
that's a good idea actually. I'll do that.
cool. We have
Thank
one more question there, Matt. I think we got a couple. Like now the
All right.
questions are coming in.
How do you find the down payment money? My equity is stuck in my rentals since they limit you to 80% LTV for cash out.
That's why everybody moves to seller financing. That's exactly the reason. Because and that's why a lot of people move over to seller financing so you can buy properties with like 5% down a lot cheaper. It's tough when the lenders and you don't have that equity there. So he like PQ's got a lot of equity in his property. That's why he can tap into it. He's got more than 20% equity. When it's a non-owner occupied, it's really challenging. If it's a primary residence, then you can look at some HELOC loans. That's is one option. But it's a tough one. That's what all of us investors run into is like we have a lot. There's times where we're cash poor, but all of our assets and all of our money is tied into equity in real estate. So no, they're not investment properties. Then you should then you want to look at HELOC loans. You should be
No,
able to
they
do
they
that.
are investment properties.
No, yeah, that's the problem. Yep. Sorry, I read that incorrectly. Thanks. Yeah, so that's the problem. That is the big problem. That's kind of main reason why we all shift over to seller financing because we don't need to go through traditional lenders. We're negotiating with the seller. The seller becomes the bank, and it's all negotiable. You can negotiate rate. I just negotiated a 4% rate with a seller. So that's why we love seller financing is listening to the seller and how to come up with solutions and how to try to make the numbers work. So cool. Hopefully this was a good event, you know, good stuff. Hopefully you guys got a lot of information out of this. Uh, the seller won't want cash on, not necessarily. I mean, I bought 13 units with 0 down. So sounds like you might have come in a little late. I don't know how long you're in here, but if you go back and watch this, we talked a lot about how to find deals, but I buy deals with very little money down. It's all listens to the seller's needs. I gave you an example probably 20 minutes ago where I got a deal with $3,500 down through a seller financing strategy, an example of one of the members in there. So what we'll do is we will post this in the seller financing group a little bit. Well, actually, it's in there now. Yeah, so you just came in 15 minutes ago. So what we'll do is we're going to post this in the seller financing group and go under the event tab and watch this video because we talk a lot about how to find the sellers and exactly what you're looking for in that.
The
Okay.
featured tab. Featured tab.
Feature tab, yes, in the seller financing group. Okay, if you can't find it, just send me a message and I'll have my admin get that over to you. But it will be in there in the feature tab, so you can go back and watch. I highly recommend going back because I gave a couple examples of how to find sellers that will open to doing very little money down.
Hey, can you guys hear me now?
We can.
Okay, Jeff Peterson. I just had some questions, general questions about, for instance, using your own home and equity as a bank, maybe going with a HELOC and some of these programs that people are hyping these days, which is kind of trendy about paying off your home in a much shorter time frame than the usual standard 30-year mortgage or 15, et cetera. You guys might have some information on that, perhaps?
For me, I don't do that. I like to leverage. I don't want to pay, I like to take that capital and deploy it into multiple assets instead of just trying to pay that down. My other half,
Right.
we have a 2.75, 2 3/4 interest rate. She goes, why don't we just pay the house? I'm like, why? We could take that difference and go ahead and put that capital and have that capital work for us. So that's for my strategy. But there is different programs out there. I know what you're talking about, but
Right.
for me, I just want to kind of leverage and just kind of have it pay down and have my numbers work. For me, my goal is passive income. I want passive income coming in. So if I want to take some time off, I can do that. I know I had that mailbox money coming in.
Right. Well, speaking of mailboxes, I live in a rural area that's slated for major development. And because it's going to change our type of existence, quality of life, this area is slated for not just major housing development, but commercial development that's coming up all around me. And so it would give me a chance to be able to get into some of these properties with perhaps some fixing up and so forth, and then using leverage, whether to create rental income, and then of course doing that to perhaps
That's a great opportunity there.
fix it up
Nice.
and flip.
Yep.
Because obviously property values have gone up quite a bit since I moved here 8 years ago. So that's what I'm looking at. And you took the words out of my mouth. I was going to use the term leverage. And because this is right in my backyard, I know the people, they know me, etc. I've served on some of the boards, both the board in my particular area, as well as our general board of all 6+. And plus, this area, this demographic is the fastest growing in my part of the state.
Got it.
So
What's
there's
your
some
question?
advantages there that I could leverage.
Got it. What's your question?
Well, that was just my basic question, is what you would suggest as far as how to best leverage that based on the metrics I
Well,
just mentioned in
Yeah,
brief.
I would go out and just try to find seller financing properties. Use the seller's assets as the leverage. They become your
Yeah.
capital partner. That's how
Right.
that's why I love seller financing.
Right.
Negotiate low down, find out why they need to sell and how to come up with solve the problem with very little, and then run your numbers and cash flow. And hold that or sell it as a lease option. That's what I love about seller financing, is for that reason. So you don't have to leverage your own debt. You're using the seller's assets, if the equity, and using it on their side. That's why I love it. So I
Right.
like to negotiate low down payment with the seller and then sell it like on a lease option, something on that, and create that cash flow and that arbitrage.
Right. Well, there's extenuating and mitigating circumstances regarding my mortgage that in my particular case would be in my advantage to get out of it because of the nature of the beast in the industry, and particularly with the types of predation that are going on. That was the reason, and that was what was in the back of my mind when I said that. I'd rather be debt free because then I can pretty much put all my eggs in one basket and work all ends against the middle. That is my plan going forward. So perhaps
Okay.
that gives you a bit more clarity.
Yeah, that's not my model. My model
Yeah,
is just
I
kind of
get that.
to keep building. My model is to keep building assets and passive income.
Okay. It's just in my case, it would work for me because it would free me up in a way that would give me more latitude to do just that. But that's just case
It
specific to
works for
me.
you.
Yeah,
Yeah, if
if
that
it does,
works for you.
yeah. But it was good to sit down and just keep my notebook on hand, take careful notes, and I learned a heck of a lot from you guys. So it's really appreciated in a general as well as a specific sense. Thank you.
Oh, good. I'm gonna answer one last question, then we're shutting down because I can smell my dinner out there. Usually we shut down at 8:30. But Kim, how do you get around doing sales clause? You really can't get around to doing sales clause. They're all there. and
How-
lenders are starting to call
The
loans due.
question is more about the
Whoop.
fears of the seller.
Oh, the fears of the seller. I'm sorry. Thank you for saying that. How do you get around the fears of the seller? Just be truthful. Just tell them. I'm always upfront with the sellers, but there is strategies around other type of seller financing strategies where you don't have to do a subject to. I like again, we talked earlier, and I'm going to recommend going back and watching this, Kim, because you're going to learn so much more. Because your questions that you're asking, they're all going to be answered in the video. But there's other seller financing strategies besides subject to. So if a seller's not financial stress, and if they are having a fear of a due on sales clause, I wouldn't do a subject to. I'll do a different type of seller financing strategy. Agreement for deed, a land contract, installment sale, sandwich lease option. There's so many other different type of seller financing strategies. That's an easy thing to get around. That's like, I mean, that is like one of the easiest objectives to get over is the due on sales clause from the seller. So, Kim, I highly recommend going back and watching this video. You're going to learn so much more because we talk about a lot of this stuff. Okay, cool.
Awesome.
Jeff, thanks so much. JP, Amy, I know they all have to run. Kim, thank you so much, and everybody over on Facebook. So, thank you guys all.
All right. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks.
We'll talk
Take
to
care.
you all
Take
soon.
care.
Don't forget to schedule a call. Use that link I posted.
Take care, guys. Oops, my computer's freezing.